The transmission cut through every known frequency across the galaxy, bypassing encryptions and overriding broadcasts on 17,000 worlds. No translation was necessary. The message embedded itself directly into the neural pathways of every sentient being capable of comprehension. Admiral Calith Vorn of the Galactic Conclave watched the holographic display as the human appeared, her eyes reflecting the cold void of space itself. Unlike the diplomatic channels they'd grown accustomed to, this transmission came directly from Earth's Supreme Defense Council. "This is Commander Alara Frost of the Terran Defense Force," the woman announced, her voice unnervingly calm. "For 3 decades, humanity has endured your tests, your provocations, and your outright attacks. We have responded with measured restraint while extending diplomatic hands you've chosen to bite. That ends today." Vorn felt the chill that had nothing to do with the environmental controls in the Conclave's central chamber. The other representatives, 37 species in all, shifted uncomfortably. 17 hours ago, your combined forces attacked our Proxima Centauri settlement. 200,000 civilians dead. Our response was calculated and precise. We eliminated only the specific battle groups responsible. The display shifted to show the aftermath. 7 advanced warships reduced to molecular dust without a trace of explosion or debris, just gone. What you witnessed was not our full capability, but merely a demonstration of something we call the void eraser. It removes matter from existence without energy discharge. No radiation, no blast, just absence where presence once was. The Xerillian ambassador lurched forward. "Impossible! Such technology defies Your understanding of fundamental physics is incomplete," Commander Frost continued, as if anticipating the objection. "Humanity has been forced to innovate beyond conventional boundaries. We now possess technologies that your scientists haven't even theorized." Archived footage played showing previous alien incursions on human territories. The Mars massacre, the Europa mining colony destruction, the Jupiter orbital bombardment. Each time, humanity's response had been measured, almost gentle compared to the provocation. "You mistook our restraint for weakness, our diplomacy for fear, our patience for limitation." Frost's expression remained unchanged. "You were wrong." The display shifted again, showing a simple equation and schematics that made several of the scientifically advanced representatives gasp audibly. "This is the theoretical framework for converting an entire star into what we call a cascade initiator. One such device deployed in any star within the galactic core would trigger a chain reaction that would sterilize approximately 83% of all inhabited systems in this galaxy within 7 standard years." Admiral Vorn felt his secondary heart stop, momentarily as the implications became clear. The humans weren't bluffing. The mathematics were elegant, perfect, and terrifying. Our terms are simple: a complete cessation of all aggressive actions against any human settlement or vessel, immediate withdrawal of all military assets within 5 light-years of any human-claimed system, full reparations for the Proxima attack to be negotiated separately. Commander Frost leaned slightly forward, her first change in posture during the entire transmission. "Should any species, coalition, or individual launch even one more attack against humanity, we will deploy the Cascade Initiator. This is not a negotiation. It is not a threat. It is simply what will happen." As the transmission ended, the conclave chamber erupted into chaos. Admiral Vorn remained motionless, staring at the empty space where the human's face had been. In 3 centuries of military service, he had never encountered a species that could so calmly announce the capacity to end galactic civilization, and, worse, he believed them. The emergency session of the Galactic Conclave stretched into its 3rd day. Representatives from across the known galaxy argued frantically over humanity's ultimatum, while intelligence operatives scrambled to verify the humans' claims. "The mathematical proof is sound," announced Mavis Tal, the Chintari theoretical physicist. whose six-lobed brain had earned her species 17 Nobel equivalent prizes across the last century. Their cascade theory works on paper. If they can actually build it, she couldn't finish the sentence. Admiral Vorn watched as the alliances fractured before his eyes. The hegemony representatives insisted on immediate compliance with human demands. The Erdlin Compact argued for a united strike to eliminate humanity before they could deploy their weapon. The rest fell somewhere in between, paralyzed by indecision. Meanwhile, in the shadows of the Obsidian sector, a coalition of military hardliners met in secret. "The humans lie," hissed Fleet Marshal Dravix, his chitinous mandibles clicking with each syllable. "No species develops such technology without testing. Our quantum sensors would have detected star-level manipulations. Orvo Lan, the weapons dealer whose fortune spanned 3 spiral arms, projected a classified document. My sources within Earth's research division confirm they've tested the theoretical components in isolated quantum bubbles. They didn't need a star. Then we must strike now, while they're still bluffing about full deployment," insisted Dravix. The gathering shifted uncomfortably. Lan's many-faceted eyes reflected the dim light as he voiced what others feared to acknowledge. "What if they're not bluffing?" Back on Earth, Commander Alara Frost stood before the viewport in Earth Defense Headquarters beneath the Himalayan range. The weight of her ultimatum pressed upon her shoulders like the mountain above. "Status report," she demanded, her voice betraying none of the exhaustion from 72 sleepless hours. General Kuran Vex, his weathered face bearing scars from the Mars massacre where he'd lost his family, consulted his neural feed. Mixed reactions across the conclave. Intelligence suggests most major powers are inclined to comply, but the hardliners are planning something, Frost finished. They always do. "Yes, Commander. We've detected unusual movements in the Obsidian sector. 3 battle groups converging," Frost nodded slowly. "And the Argos protocol? Ready for deployment on your command," Vex confirmed, his voice dropping to a near whisper. "Though I pray it never comes to that." Frost turned to face the man who had become her mentor after she'd been orphaned during the Europa attack. "The Conclave had 30 years to rein in their extremists. They chose politics over peace. Now they must face the consequences of their inaction." Across the stars, the rogue fleet assembled. 7 capital ships and 23 destroyers, representing 5 different species united only in their hatred of humanity, converged at the edge of the Sol system. Fleet Marshal Dravix addressed his coalition. "We strike Alpha Centauri first, the humans' proudest achievement. When we destroy their first interstellar colony, they will be forced to reveal whether their weapon exists. If it does, they'll use it on us and prove their barbarity to the galaxy. If it doesn't," his mandibles spread in the equivalent of a smile, "we continue to Earth itself." What none of them realized was that every word, every plan, every thought transmitted across their secure channels was being monitored by humanity's quantum entanglement surveillance network, a technology the Conclave believed impossible. As the fleet prepared to jump, an ensign approached Commander Frost. "They're moving, Commander. Target appears to be Alpha Centauri." Frost closed her eyes briefly. So, they've made their choice. When she opened them again, they held the same cosmic coldness that had unnerved Admiral Vorn. "Deploy defensive assets to Alpha Centauri and prepare the demonstration package." Not the Argos protocol?" the ensign asked, voice quavering. "No," Frost replied. "Not yet. First, let's show them exactly what they're gambling against." The rogue fleet exited faster than light travel at the edge of the Alpha Centauri system. Weapons hot and shields at maximum. Fleet Marshal Dravix surveyed the tactical display with anticipation. His coalition force represented the finest military technology from 5 advanced civilizations, surely enough to overwhelm whatever defenses the humans had established around. their precious colony. What he saw instead defied explanation. Nothing. No orbital defense platforms. No patrol ships. Not a single weapon signature. Alpha Centauri B hosted the sprawling human settlement of Nova Terra, home to 15 million colonists, completely undefended. "Scan again," Dravix ordered, mandibles twitching nervously. "This is a trap." "No energy signatures, Marshal," his tactical officer replied. "No subspace distortions, no cloaked vessels. They've left it unprotected." A ripple of unease spread through the command deck. The humans had issued the most severe ultimatum in galactic history, yet left their second most important world defenseless. "Proceed as planned," Dravix commanded, silencing the murmurs. "First wave, target their atmospheric processors and main population centers. Second wave, prepare for ground assault." The first 5 destroyers moved into position, their weapon systems powering up. Target locks confirmed, they fired, unleashing enough firepower to level continents. A heartbeat before. Impact reality itself seemed to fold. The energy beams distorted, curving impossibly in mid-trajectory. The missiles spiraled into what appeared to be infinitesimally small points of absolute darkness that had materialized from nowhere. Every projectile, every energy discharge, every directed weapon simply vanished. "What's happening?" Dravix demanded as alarms blared across his flagship. Before anyone could respond, a small, unassuming vessel blinked into existence at the center of their formation. No larger than a shuttle, its hull bore no weapons ports or obvious defensive systems, just the emblem of Earth's defense force. All communications systems across the Coalition fleet activated simultaneously, overridden by an external signal. Commander Frost's voice filled every ship. "You were warned." Without further ceremony, one of the Coalition destroyers simply ceased to exist. No explosion, no debris. One moment it was there, the next, nothing remained but empty space where a vessel carrying 1,200 souls had been. Panic erupted across the command deck as tactical officers reported the impossible. No energy discharge, no radiation, no distortion field. The ship hadn't been destroyed. It had been removed from existence. "Fall back," Dravix ordered, fear overwhelming his hatred. "Emergency jump protocols!" As the remaining ships scrambled to retreat, 3 more vanished in the same manner, chosen, seemingly at random to maximize terror among the survivors. Dravix's flagship engaged its FTL drive, tearing a hole in space-time to escape. As they fled, Commander Frost's voice followed them through the void. "That was our final warning. We eliminated only the vessels that fired upon our colony. The rest of you may return to your governments with this message. We have now demonstrated both our capability and our restraint. There will not be another demonstration." Across the conclave, the news spread with terrifying speed. Quantum entanglement communications relayed what had happened at Alpha Centauri, how the humans had allowed the attack fleet to fire only to negate their weapons and erase the offending ships from existence without harming the others. Admiral Vorn watched the recorded footage in silent horror. The implications were clear. The humans possessed technology that could nullify any attack and remove matter from reality without energy transfer, a fundamental violation of physics as the Conclave understood it. If they could do this to warships, their threat to induce stellar cascade destruction suddenly seemed far more credible. In his private quarters, Vorn composed an emergency directive to all Conclave forces. "Stand down from all positions near human space. I repeat, all forces stand down. The humans have demonstrated capabilities beyond our comprehension. Any further provocation risks galactic extinction." Meanwhile, in the depths of Earth's defense headquarters, Commander Frost and General Vex watched the Coalition fleet scatter. "The Void Eraser performed exactly as expected," Vex noted, "though I question letting them fire first." "They needed to believe they had a chance," Frost replied. "Only by seeing their weapons neutralized would they understand the futility of..." further aggression. And if they had penetrated our defense bubble? Frost's expression remained unchanged. Then Nova Terra would have paid the price for our gamble. Sometimes to protect billions, millions must be risked. A burden no one should have to bear, Vex said softly. For the first time, a shadow of emotion crossed Frost's face. No, but it's the burden we accepted when we developed the technology. The question now is whether they believe we have the resolve to use the Argos protocol if pushed further. The Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Conclave had never witnessed such pandemonium. Representatives from 217 species shouted over one another as footage of the Alpha Centauri incident played on massive holographic displays. Ships vanishing without trace, weapons fire bending impossibly toward microscopic void points, physics itself seemingly rewritten at the whim of human technology. Admiral Vorn slammed his ceremonial staff against the floor, the thunderous crack, momentarily silencing the chaos. "We face extinction," he roared. "While you debate protocol and pride, humanity stands ready to trigger stellar collapse across our civilization." The Xerillian ambassador rose from his hovering platform. "The humans are barbaric, but not suicidal. Such a weapon would destroy Earth as well." "Perhaps," interjected Mavis Tau, the Chintari physicist. "But my analysis of their cascade initiator theory suggests they've discovered something we haven't, a way to create directional stellar chain reactions. They could potentially spare their sector while dooming ours." Fresh uproar erupted until an unexpected figure stepped onto the central podium. Orvo Lan, the notorious arms dealer whose presence at the conclave violated a dozen interstellar protocols. Distinguished representatives, his amplified voice, carried unexpected gravitas. "I come bearing crucial intelligence. The Coalition fleet's destruction was not humanity's only demonstration today." The assembly fell silent as Lan projected a series of astronomical readings. "These are quantum fluctuation measurements from across the galaxy taken during the Alpha Centauri incident. Note this anomaly in the Cygnus Void, an uninhabited region containing only a standard G-type star." The projection zoomed in to show a star undergoing impossible changes, its core pulsing with patterns that defied stellar physics. For precisely 9 seconds, the humans triggered the initial stage of their cascade process in this star before deliberately halting it. They weren't just proving they could erase ships, they were proving they could trigger stellar collapse. Stunned silence gripped the assembly. Admiral Vorn's secondary heart pounded erratically. "Verification? Confirmed by 7 independent observatories," Lan replied. "The humans have the weapon they threatened us with, and they've proven willing to use it." Across the chamber, alliances collapsed and reformed in real time. Species that had warred for centuries now huddled together, united by existential fear. Others maintained stoic isolation, processing the implications through cultural frameworks ill-equipped for such a paradigm shift. Meanwhile, aboard the Obsidian Citadel, a secret military installation hidden in an artificial pocket dimension, the remnants of Fleet Marshal Dravix's coalition gathered. "4 ships!" Dravix raged, smashing a tactical display. "4 ships erased without trace, without honor, without battle." General Kirith of the Erdlin Compact, whose species' evolutionary history as apex predators had left them constitutionally incapable of accepting defeat, growled agreement. "The humans must have a weakness. All technology has limitations." The Abaus, assembled military leaders, fell silent as a hologram materialized at the center of their council table. The unmistakable form of the Patriarch, eldest living member of the ancient Vicarin species, whose encryption algorithms formed the backbone of galactic communications. "I have completed my analysis of the human transmissions," the Patriarch's voice wheezed. "Their void eraser technology leaves quantum entanglement signatures. It requires phenomenal energy. Each activation at Alpha Centauri briefly outshone the system's star and subspace frequencies." Dravix leaned forward eagerly. "So they cannot sustain it indefinitely?" Correct. My calculations suggest they could erase perhaps 40 capital ships before depleting their current energy reserves. 40 ships, General Kirith mused. The combined fleets of our remaining allies number over 600. The Patriarch's ancient eyes narrowed. You misunderstand. Their stellar weapon operates on different principles. Once initiated, it becomes self-sustaining. The demonstration in the Cygnus Void confirms it functions precisely as they claim. Then what hope remains? Demanded Dravix. Speed, replied the Patriarch. My analysis indicates the cascade initiation requires 17 minutes to become irreversible. If we can locate their deployment mechanism and destroy it during that window, the reaction collapses. The assembled war leaders exchanged glances, a desperate plan forming. Back on Earth, Commander Frost received the intelligence report with grim satisfaction. They're monitoring our quantum signatures, she informed the Defense Council, and they've detected our Cygnus demonstration. As intended, replied Council Director Riken, his artificial eyes glowing softly. Let them believe they've discovered our limitations. The Vicaran Patriarch is advising them, Frost noted. He's dangerously intelligent. But working with incomplete information, Vex added, the bait has been set. Now we wait for them to take it. The Obsidian Citadel transformed into a nerve, center of frantic activity, as the largest rogue armada in galactic history assembled in secret. 627 warships representing 17 species, all operating against the explicit orders of the Conclave, prepared for what many believed would be their final mission. Fleet Marshal Dravix, now styling himself Supreme Commander of the Coalition of Survival, addressed his gathered forces via quantum entanglement broadcast, a channel believed secure from human interception. Today we fight not just for our species, but for the very concept of galactic civilization. His voice resonated through countless command decks. Human arrogance has reached its apex. They believe themselves gods with their physics-defying weapons. But gods can bleed. Gods can die. The tactical display showed their target, a mysterious installation humanity had constructed at the edge of the Sol system near the dwarf planet Eris. According to the Patriarch's intelligence, this facility housed the Stellar Cascade Initiator, the doomsday weapon that had held the galaxy hostage. Our attack must be perfectly synchronized, Dravix continued. Wave 1 will deplete their void eraser capability with sacrificial drone ships. Wave 2 will overload their defensive systems with concentrated barrage. Wave 3 delivers the Patriarch's quantum disruptor directly to the target facility. The plan was audacious and suicidal for many participants. But facing species extinction, thousands had volunteered for what amounted to certain death. What none of them realized was that every detail of their secure planning had been monitored by humanity through technology so advanced, the Conclave believed it theoretically impossible, direct quantum state observation across unlimited distances without entanglement pairs. In Earth's defense headquarters, Commander Frost and the Supreme Council watched the Coalition's preparations with calculated patience. They've taken the bait, Frost confirmed, studying the deployment patterns. 600-plus ships converging on the decoy facility. Director Riken's artificial eyes flickered with data streams. The Eris installation contains nothing but convincing signatures and automated defenses. Meanwhile, the actual Argos protocol remains safely distributed across 9 pocket dimensions. Time until they launch? Asked Vex. Approximately 7 hours, Frost replied. They're still gathering their forces. Should we strike preemptively? One council member suggested. We could eliminate their command structure before they mobilize. Frost shook her head. No, this ends today, but it must end correctly. The galaxy must witness what happens when our ultimatum is defied. Across the stars, Admiral Vorn received the intelligence report with mounting horror. Despite his direct orders, nearly a third of the Conclave's military assets had gone rogue, joining Dravix's coalition. We must warn the humans, he insisted to the emergency session of the Conclave leadership. And reveal our own inability to control our forces? Countered the Xerillian ambassador. If the humans believe we sanctioned this attack, they'll trigger the cascade. Mavis Tal, who had been running continuous simulations of the cascade effect, raised all 6 of her limbs for attention. My latest models suggest the humans were conservative in their estimates. If triggered, the stellar chain reaction would spread to 91% of inhabited systems within 5 years, not 83% as they claimed. Silence fell across the chamber as the magnitude of the crisis crystallized in their collective consciousness. Finally, Admiral Vorn rose, removing his ceremonial insignia. I will deliver the warning personally, without official sanction. Should the humans deem the entire conclave responsible for the actions of renegades, at least one of us should face extinction, with honor. As his personal vessel prepared for emergency transit to the Sol system, the Coalition Armada began its advance toward humanity's supposed doomsday weapon. Thousands of ships accelerated to FTL velocities, weapons primed, and defenses maximized. None noticed the subtle quantum fluctuations spreading throughout their formation, the signature of humanity's true defensive grid activating. Commander Frost received one final intelligence update before the Coalition crossed the point of no return. Admiral Vorn is approaching under diplomatic protocols. He appears to be attempting to warn us of the attack. Too late for warnings, Frost replied, her voice heavy with the weight of what would follow. But record his transmission for posterity. History should know at least one member of the Conclave tried to prevent what happens next. She turned to face the Defense Council, her expression resolute. Activate Argos Protocol, Stage 1. Let the galaxy witness the price of defying humanity's final ultimatum. Admiral Vorn's diplomatic vessel dropped out of FTL on the periphery of the Sol system, broadcasting surrender protocols on all frequencies. Before him, Earth's blue-green sphere hung against the backdrop of space, beautiful, serene, and utterly terrifying in its implication. This small world had developed technology that could end galactic civilization. This is Admiral Calith Vorn of the Galactic Conclave, he transmitted. I come alone, unarmed, to warn humanity of imminent danger. A coalition force defying Conclave authority approaches your Eris installation. I beg you, do not hold all species accountable for the actions of these renegades. For long moments, silence answered him. Then, a familiar voice replied. Admiral Vorn, Commander Frost acknowledged. Your warning comes too late. The Coalition fleet has already crossed into restricted space, but your courage is noted. Vorn's hearts sank. Commander, I implore you, demonstrate mercy. Show the galaxy that humanity's power is matched by wisdom. You misunderstand our position, Admiral, Frost replied, her voice carrying neither malice nor emotion. This was never about punishment. It was about ending a pattern that has persisted for 3 decades. The attacks, the testing of our resolve, the assumption that our restraint indicates weakness. In that moment, Vorn understood with perfect clarity what was about to happen. May the cosmic architects have mercy on us all. Observe, Admiral, Frost continued, but know that what you witness was not our first choice. Across the void, the Coalition Armada, 627 warships strong, advanced toward the Eris installation, following the elaborate attack plan crafted by Fleet Marshal Dravix and the Vikaran Patriarch. The first wave of drone ships moved into position, preparing to sacrifice themselves to deplete humanity's void eraser capability. They never got the chance. Space itself seemed to shudder. Not just around the fleet, but everywhere. Across thousands of light years, a quantum tremor rippled through the fabric of reality. On every ship, sensors registered the impossible, the instantaneous activation of a subspace field encompassing the entire galactic arm. For one breathless moment, nothing else happened. Then, throughout the Armada, ship after ship simply vanished. Not destroyed, not damaged, just gone. No explosions, no debris, no energy discharge, just absence where presence had been. On his command ship, Fleet Marshal, Dravix watched in horror as his magnificent fleet disappeared ship by ship in perfect silence. Not randomly, but in precise sequential order from lowest to highest threat assessment, as if some vast intelligence were calmly prioritizing targets. "This is impossible," he screamed. "They can't erase this many vessels simultaneously. The energy requirements." His words ended mid-sentence as his flagship joined the growing list of ships that never existed. Within 7 minutes, the entire coalition armada had been erased from reality. Over 4 million sentient beings from 17 species gone without trace or remnant. Aboard his diplomatic vessel, Admiral Vorn watched the sensor readings in stunned silence. Unlike the Alpha Centauri demonstration, this wasn't merely the application of an advanced weapon. This was technology so far beyond the Conclave's understanding that it barely registered as technology at all. His communication system activated automatically as Commander Frost's image appeared once more. "What you just witnessed, Admiral, was the Argos Protocol, not the Stellar Cascade Initiator we threatened. That remains our final option. This was merely our defensive grid." Vorn struggled to form words. How is this possible? The energy requirements for even one void eraser application are astronomical. To erase over 600 ships simultaneously, your scientists still think in terms of energy conversion, Frost explained, her tone almost educational. "We've moved beyond that limitation. What you call the void eraser doesn't destroy matter. It relocates it to pocket dimensions outside normal space-time. No energy signature because the energy balance remains constant across the multiverse." The implications staggered Vorn's comprehension. If humans could manipulate dimensional boundaries at will, their technological advantage wasn't merely a matter of degree. It was fundamental, like adults dealing with children who had yet to grasp basic mathematics. "Why?" he finally managed. "Why demonstrate such power now, when your ultimatum already had us terrified?" For the first time, something like emotion crossed Commander Frost's face. Not cruelty or satisfaction, but weariness. Because fear breeds desperation, Admiral. As long as species believed they might have a chance against us, that our technology had limits they could overcome with sufficient numbers, attacks would continue. We needed to demonstrate once and for all that military action against humanity is not merely ill-advised, it is futile. She leaned forward slightly. "Return to the Conclave with what you've witnessed. Tell them humanity's ultimatum stands, but with this addition, we seek peaceful coexistence, trade, cultural exchange, scientific collaboration in fields that won't threaten galactic stability. But the era of testing humanity's resolve through military action is over." As Vorn's vessel prepared to depart, Frost added one final message. "And, Admiral, tell them we're implementing a galaxy-wide defensive grid. From this day forward, any vessel firing weapons within 10 light years of any human settlement will simply cease to exist. No warnings, no second chances." 3 weeks later, the Galactic Conclave ratified the Sol Accords, the most comprehensive peace treaty in galactic history. With Admiral Vorn's testimony and the incontrovertible evidence of what happened to the Coalition fleet, even the most militant species recognized the new reality. Humanity had not sought galactic domination. They had not demanded tribute or territory. They had simply enforced a single non-negotiable condition: leave us in peace or face consequences beyond comprehension. In the decades that followed, a curious transformation took place. As the terror of humanity's technological supremacy gradually gave way to cautious diplomatic engagement, many species discovered something unexpected about their former adversaries. Humans proved to be generous allies. Their medical advancements, cured diseases that had plagued other species for millennia. Their agricultural techniques ended famines across dozens of worlds. Their artists and philosophers brought fresh perspectives to civilizations thousands of years older than their own. Yet always, hanging unspoken in the background of every interaction, remained the memory of that day, when 600 warships blinked out of existence, and humanity demonstrated that their ultimatum had never been a bluff. In the grand assembly hall of the renewed conclave, a monument was erected bearing a simple inscription in every known language. Peace is not merely the absence of war, but the presence of justice, of law, of order, and the knowledge that violation brings consequence. Below these words, in smaller text, was the date of humanity's ultimatum, the day the galaxy learned that some lines, once drawn, must never be crossed. End of final ultimatum from Earth. One more attack and the galaxy burns.